Hello, dear friends. Here we are. Yes, we are here. Wisdom for the Spiritist Practitioner. This is day 17th, and the message today is unique. It's about a group in crisis. A group in crisis. And we always may ask, well, but crisis is all over. Is there a crisis in the Spiritist group? Yes, there is. Why, Vanessa? But why? Because we're humans. We are humans, and that's natural, friends. We go from learning to be together in harmony. Ebony and ivory, right? Yes. Perfect harmony, side by side on my piano. And this is not about race. It's about the inner harmony with one another. We're different. Big deal. Why can't we be in harmony? And here we are, a group in crisis. Emmanuel brings this message to us, and this is a message that was published and compiled in this book, Educational Institute of Light, psychographed by Chico Xavier. This message here is titled Group in Crisis by Emmanuel. We have been studies from Dr. Bezerra de Menezes to André Luiz, Humberto de Campos, Brother X, and Eugenio Brito, and others. Messages that are empowering us as Spiritist practitioners. Okay? This message is short but very unique. Why, you may be asking? Because he is going to give us tips from the human perspective, a unique angle for all of us, an angle that explains to us how things get to be upside down. Suddenly, things are upside down. How come? And people are desperate. They're like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Well, it's just human. It's just so human. And crisis is a door to opportunity. Is it? Do you remember in the Spirit's book by Kardec, third part? Kardec talks about the law of destruction. Law of destruction as part of divine laws. Destruction equals to transformation. Crisis equals to metamorphosis, transformation, changes. So inevitably, we go through phases of transformation that to us looks like a crisis. But if we keep digging deeper, can I show something to you? Hold on a second, huh? This book, What Do You Do with a Problem? This is a book for children by Kobe Yamada, and she talks about, and this is the introduction of Emmanuel's message today. She talks about the boy, okay, look at the picture. What to do with a problem. And she says, well, this little boy said, I don't know how it happened, but one day I had a problem. I didn't want it. I didn't ask for it. I really didn't like having a problem, but it was there. And Emmanuel, I know you want to read the whole book, right? But hold on. We're going to mingle this book and that book. He tells us precisely how crisis happens in a group. Just like that. You want to see? I'm going to go back and forth. Kobe Yamada's book and Emmanuel's message. And you're going to love it. Why? Because there's always hope. As long as we are mature to know what's going to happen next. Emmanuel says, If you remain in me and my words abide in you, you will ask what you will, and it will be done for you. Jesus in John 15:7. Quoting John, Emmanuel writes, usually when the tasks of a team devoted to the service of the good seem to be properly stabilized, a crisis explodes. Precisely what Kobe Yamada was writing in this book. The boy was there and suddenly there was a problem. He didn't want the problem. The group doesn't want a problem. And Emmanuel keeps describing the atmosphere of good works is unbalanced and storm roars. People argue in the shadows of discord when the light of harmony is most needed. The edification which seemed solid presents overpowering gaps. The whole scheme of achievements in progress appears to be superficially compromised. Important associates abandon positions that are difficult to fill. These are the days of trials, in which the gale of criticism rages around us, testing the safety of our construction, and those are also days for greater serenity, when we should not display any irritation or discouragement. Let us join ourselves more closely to one another in faithfulness to the work in order to avoid greater dangers. That is our duty. It is urgent to repair the machine of action as much as we can within all lawful resources in the manner of the railway man who restored the derailed locomotive, and after placing it in conditions of service on the right rails, it moves on. No accusations, no regrets. Work harder, forgetting evil and remembering the good. Restore union and move forward. Understand that the hours for faith are those of the sun blazing in the blue firmament, but precisely those others in which clouds pour out threats from somewhere in the sky. We all encounter difficulties in our paths. Whenever called to serve, we must remember that we are carrying burdens entrusted to us by the divine providence for the good of all. And satisfying goodwill and satisfying God's will, whatever risks and stumbling blocks we face, let us be convinced that God will take care of all of us. This is Emmanuel in the message group in crisis. And he's telling us this crisis, it's beautiful because in this message, there is almost like a medical approach to crisis. He talks about the origin of this crisis. It comes when we least expect, especially when everything seems to be in harmony. It's the balance, law of preservation, law of destruction, law of preservation, law of destruction. The group is stable, a crisis erupts. Why? Because, why does it happen? Because, look at this diagram. Evolution is like this ladder. More or less, we're here. in a plateau. We need to boost ourselves up to get to another level, and then a plateau. So when we reach full stability, it's time to make effort to reach another level. In our individual and collective lives, we really need to make an effort to go to another level. And crises happen for that purpose, to catapult us to another level, giving us new boost to leap, to conquer new grounds, to evolve. And Emmanuel says here, these are days of trials. We need to test the safety of our construction. If you build a house, you will go through inspections to make sure that those are solid constructions. We cannot simply go there, construct, and say, oh, well, it's probably safe. There's no probability. We need to go another level. So, in this beautiful book, in an analogy to Emmanuel's book, Message Group in a Crisis, Kobe Yamada, in What Do You Do with a Problem, Kobe, K-O-B-I, Yamada, she talks about the boy who was doing quite well. And take a look at the picture, not me. And she says, I'm not going to read the whole book, but she says that the boy realized that there was a problem. He didn't want a problem. He tried to escape the problem, but the problem was getting bigger because he was ignoring it. He got so much bigger that he became afraid of the fact that this problem was taking possibly everything from him. So he said, what do I do? He tried to close his eyes and not to see it, like many people in Spiritist groups. They don't want to see problems show up. They're like, no, let me pretend I'm not seeing it. So here we have Kobe Yamada telling that the more the boy worried, the bigger the problem became. And one day he just wished that it disappeared. But then he couldn't take it anymore. This has to stop. And that's when he decided to face it. Aha! I know you want the rest of the story, right? But that's exactly what Emmanuel is telling us. The turning point of the crisis is when we face it. How do we face a crisis in a Spiritist group? He says, it's urgent to repair the machine of action. To repair, we need to face the problem. Say, yes, there is a problem. He says, let us join ourselves closer together. That is our duty to avoid greater dangers. You see how Emmanuel's message about the crisis in a group goes hand in hand with the story and illustrations in this book by Kobe Yamada? He tells us the more we escape, the more we ignore, the more we pretend it's not there, the more we push it away, the bigger it begins to come. And he says, it will become greater if we don't stick together, number one. 2, repair. How can we repair it? No accusations, no regrets. Work harder, forgetting evil and remembering the good. That's exactly what Kobe Yamada is showing to us. She says, even though the boy did not want to, he was even afraid, he says, I got ready and I tackled the problem. So Look at how the boy inserted himself in the problem. This is what Jesus calls courage. Courage. When Bartholomew came to Jesus and said, I'm in a crisis, my father doesn't accept me, and it's in the book Good News, Boa Nova, through Brother X. When Jesus was listening to Bartholomew, and Bartholomew was saying, I'm in a crisis, I don't know what to do, he says, don't forget, we have the good news. And those who follow it need faith, courage, and hope. This little boy here faced the problem, so we need to have courage. And often the problem is inside of us, not outside of us. He tackled it. And when he faced it with courage and faith, he says, when I got, look how cute it is, face to face with the problem, I discovered something. My problem wasn't what I thought it was. I discovered it had something beautiful inside. Look, how cute. The problem had something beautiful inside. My problem held an opportunity. It was an opportunity for me to learn and to grow, to be brave, to do something. I'm not going to spoil the reading of this phenomenal book by Kobe Yamada, but Emmanuel, it illustrates somewhat what Emmanuel recommends to us. When there is full stabilization, harmony in a group, crisis is going to show up to test us. Test our faith, test our courage, test our hope. And what should we do as a group? Stay closer together. 1, to avoid dangers. He says it's a duty to stay closer together. Let's stay together. Right? Oh, yeah. And then, urgent repair. Repair urgently. No accusations, no regrets, working harder, forgetting the mistakes, focusing on the good. Restore union and move forward. Moving forward meaning forgetting and making things in a different way. There are people who say, oh yeah, we're united, but we're not still together. So that's not united. Living in the United States of America, it's an exercise, constant exercise to be interdependent. Oh yeah. The message is intrinsic in the nation. And we need to learn how to stay united, no matter the crisis. No accusations, no regrets. And understand that these hours of faith will be tested when there are clouds announcing a huge storm. For those here with us, right, Lea Severo, who went through the Hurricane Irma, you know the impact of this test of hope when the storm comes. Right? Literally. Literally. We all encounter difficulties in our paths. And he says, whenever called to serve, we must remember that we are carrying burdens entrusted to us by the divine providence for the good of all. So that's the classic Stephen, from Poland, Stephen's question. When his father was being beaten up to death, he kindly looked up and asked, oh God, what do you want me to do? So we need to ask in moments of crisis, God, you know I'm going through this. That's an exercise. We're going through a crisis. Face it. I'm not ignoring it. I'm not drinking alcohol to escape mechanisms. I'm not turning on the TV, spending time on Facebook the whole day to pretend something is not there. I am instead facing it and doing what? Asking God, you trust me. How can I best fulfill your will in this moment of opportunity? People sometimes have crises in their families, sometimes meaning every day maybe. And we ask, what can I do? If you have a son or a daughter or a family member who is deeply into addictions, it's your turn to learn about it and help others. Oh, but I can't help my child or my neighbor or my daughter or my mom. But you can help others. If I reach out to others who want the help, one day somebody's going to reach out to my loved one who needs help. You need to do that indirect help to get to the help of your loved one. We can't wash our hands. We can't say, oh well, this is it. When a problem is knocking at our door, like this boy, the problem is there, I cannot ignore it. It's becoming bigger, 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 bigger. I need to commit to tackling the problem from different angle and finding the opportunity, as Kobe Yamada says, of my growth, of my learning experience, and my opportunity to be stronger. As Emmanuel says, we all encounter difficulties, but we'll be satisfying God's will when we are convinced that God will take care of us, whatever risks and stumbling blocks we face as a group. Right? Yes, my friends. Right, Rihanna, how are you? Adilson, Ceissa, and Raquel is here with us. We're so grateful you stopped by during the live program. Thank you. And John Da Rosa is here. Angelita, how are you? Sunshine. How are you, Sunshine? Teresa Catapano, how are you? Jairson, how are you? Joyce, beautiful Joyce, how are you? Sylvia and Aglaes Wolper, how are you? Michele Silva, how are you? Hipólito, Elisa Telle, Julija, Leia Severo, how are you? Patrícia, Anne Mércia, how are you? Lívia Moraes, and friend Rudy, present to thank you, Rudy. So, take home message for us. Number 1, groups will go through crisis as much as individual people. You enter a group, oh, it's so beautiful, but expect one day there will be a crisis. Don't be anxious. Just say, oh well, it's like a cold, like a flu. You're not going to be raising a kid expecting they're not going to get sick ever. They will. We need to tell parents saying, you know, you want to be a parent. Remember, children get sick. Nobody tells us this. But they get sick, they have colic, they have flu and the cold and this and the other. It's expected. We're humans. Our bodies are susceptible to it. Groups have their thermometer of health. There will be times in which there's going to be a fever, crisis. But it's a sign that there's something for us to learn with the group. What do? Number 1, face the problem. Number 2, Emmanuel says, stick together. Number 3, repair with all the resources urgently. Don't let it go or let it be, because it's going to grow stronger. And focus on the good. Work harder. Restore the union and move forward. So Emmanuel has a practical recipe for crisis. When the fever of the group is up, what is the Tylenol or Advil that we're going to take? The gospel of Jesus. The good news saying, they shall pass. They shall pass. This shall also pass. And this shall pass too. That's the mantra. They shall pass as long as we stay together, work hard, and repair it as soon as possible. No accusations, no regrets. Shall we, friends? This is it for today. Wisdom for the Spiritist Practitioner. And this wisdom feels good because it's wisdom with the beautiful mind of Emmanuel, who never forgets about us. On the contrary, Emmanuel is always enlightening us and giving us practical lessons. Tomorrow, God willing, when we come back, as a teaser, be prepared, because tomorrow when we come back, God willing, who is going to be back with us? I'm opening the message here for you, to you, Emmanuel. He's going to complement the message with a quiz. There is a quiz in the Spiritist group, and Emmanuel has a list of questions. That's his message. You want a teaser? He asks in one of the questions, in the Spiritist group, are you a source of relief or a deserted hearth without benefit to anyone? Come back, Selma, Brazil, friends from all over the world. Come back, because Emmanuel has more wisdom for you and I as Spiritist practitioners. Shall we? Big hug and a kiss. Much love and light.